Hey Aquarius, happy December. I'm not gonna lie, there might be some holiday blues this month, as well as just some general intensity at the end of a very intense and profound year, kind of ending off with a crescendo here. But there are some beautiful opportunities for you to really speak and find your voice and step into who you really are. Before we get too far into this video, my name is Michael. For those of you who are brand new to this channel, I want to welcome all of you back who are joining me again. I know it's been quite some time since I have been on YouTube and uploaded one of these videos. I'm super excited to see what we have in store for you. But before we dive in, I do just want to let you all know that I'm running my holiday sale. All of my services are currently 25% off on my website until December 21st. So if you are looking for a reading or Reiki session with me, now is a great time to book. I think that the new year is a great time to see what we have in store for us for the year ahead. So if you want to get a reading, now is the perfect time. All of my links are in the description box down below, as well as links for the astrology blog that accompanies this video. You can also find me on all of my other social media accounts and follow me there too. I do appreciate that. And let's see what we have in store for you for December. One of the main aspects that's going to be happening in December is actually occurring between your two ruling planets, Saturn and Uranus. They've actually been doing a dance throughout this past year, and they are finally going to be forming their third and final square on December 25th, so right on Christmas Day. And immediately when I saw that with Saturn in your first house, your house of identity, of self, and Uranus in your fourth house, your house of home, family, roots, it really made me feel like there could potentially be some friction between you and some family members, or just feeling disconnected from your family. There might also be this moment where you really just break free of expectations that have been placed on you based on your upbringing or your family environment. You might be sorting through a lot of that. And honestly, there's really this big question for me, or for you, I should say, who are your people? And that's really coming into play with the eclipse that we have at the start of this month. We are starting off with the Sagittarius Eclipse on December 4th, which is occurring in your 11th house of social networks, of friends, hopes, and dreams. And there might have been a lot of focus there over this past year and a half. We are wrapping up this cycle, and we are now moving into a new cycle that's going to be really focusing for you on home and family. So really, really interesting energy, and I think there's going to be a big taste of that coming for you this month. I actually do have all of your cards here on the table, by the way, and I'm a little disappointed that this happened for you specifically, because as I was pulling cards, I was like, oh, I bet I know what this means, and then I'd pull the clarifier, and it was basically just like, yup. So I'm really feeling tuned into your energy right now, Aquarius. The first card that we had show up in the past is the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Pentacles, which tells me that there's a lot of reassessment. You might have been putting a lot of energy and work or time into something, and you've recently come to question if it is worthwhile to you. And this is one of those moments where I was like, this feels like a relationship to me. Kind of knowing what the astrology is for Aquarius, this feels like a person, could be family, could be friends. And of course, we had the Six of Cups come out as that clarification. And now the Six of Cups represents childhood, so it could be family, but it could also be people you've had a long history with. And maybe this is also just talking about a long-term healing process that you've been going through. This year has been pretty impactful for you, because we've had Saturn and Jupiter in your sign. And of course, we started off with this year with a great conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter in your sign. Well, that was actually at the end of last year, but it has been a year since that time. And so there's been a lot that's been coming up for healing, I think, for you. And there really has been this question of, do I keep these things around because I've spent so much time or energy in them? It might be really hard for you to walk away from relationships or projects or jobs because you've put so much time and energy forth, right? You have been learning a lot about your passions here with this Ace of Wands. And I think that's going to continue to be important for you. especially with the Gemini full moon on the 18th, that is going to be falling in your 5th house, your house of pleasure, of passion. There could be a culmination there. Despite all this intensity, though, Aquarius, I feel like there's a lot here that's actually helping you grow. You're actually doing pretty well, is what I'm seeing with the Empress and the Sun here. You're really stepping into yourself, and it almost feels like the people around you don't know what to do with that anymore. And it could be causing some endings or changes in your relationships with people, especially with family, but I very well could see that with friends, too. That's a very likely potential. Really, relationships in general, like who are the people, who are my people? That's just a question I keep thinking for you. Who are my people? Where do I belong? And I think that's actually going to continue to be a theme for you. But honestly, Aquarius, it's like you're making your own home. And I think that's what you're going to be doing throughout 2022, especially as we are coming into a new eclipse cycle with the nodes shifting into Taurus and Scorpio. The nodes do actually represent where the eclipses are occurring. And we had our first Taurus eclipse last month. That was on the 19th. And that was a lunar eclipse, so that was bringing about some endings or changes. And that could be involving home. It could be involving family, anything that connects you to your ancestry, your early life, kind of who you are deep down, your roots, basically. So there's been these big changes that have been happening in your private life. And Capricorn season is also kind of the time where Aquarius is most reflective, because Capricorn is the sign that comes before Aquarius. That is the 12th house of Aquarius. And so there's a lot of contemplation. There's a lot of kind of quieting yourself and reviewing things, and really kind of this spiritual pause, so to speak. Of course, there is a lot happening this month where it might feel like there's so much going on around you, but there's almost this feeling of detachment I'm getting. Like it's not hitting with the same caliber that I think a lot of astrologers have been talking about. That's not to say that this month won't be intense or that even this next year won't have its challenges, but there's a lot in the astrology, specifically with Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces, that's really softening these blows. And something beautiful here is growing. I really want that to be something that you take to heart here. And the North Node is going to be touching on Uranus, which again is one of your ruling planets, and that's going to be happening in 2022 and 2023. And it's really going to be having you reach for your destiny and reach for who you are, or specifically where you belong. That's really interesting. And that might not look the way you thought it would look. I just want you to be open to that. As for some changes and challenges this month, we do have the Devil, and I clarified this with the 6 of coins here, and this immediately made me think of money. When I saw this, I was like, okay, this is some financial thing that Aquarius is going to be going through, and I want to tell you, not just for December, but even for 2022, be really careful with your spending. I only say that because you have Jupiter and Neptune in the sign of Pisces, which is in your 2nd house. And the 2nd house rules over finances, material possessions. And while these energies work very beautifully in Pisces, for you in this specific placement, it could almost be making you a little bit delusional about money. Or the way I would think of this is fatally optimistic. It'll just work out. I'll just spend this money now and I'll figure out how to pay this off later. Don't get into that pattern, okay? I really want you to take that to heart with these cards here, because there's a lot economically and financially that's going to be quite up and down throughout 2022. I also want to tell you not to borrow money, because I feel like there's someone who might be trying to loan you money, or maybe you already owe someone money, and there's kind of this manipulation that's happening as well. Or like someone just kind of like, oh, I've been so charitable with you, I've given you so much, That's kind of what this devil energy feels like to me. And with the Sun and the Empress, you might actually be doing very well for yourself, and there might be someone who's kind of trying to manipulate you into giving them something. That's another way that this could be manifesting as well, and I just want to kind of tell you to use your discernment there. However, you have some really beautiful cards with Temperance and Justice here in the future position. This is telling me that you are finding some sort of balance. You are coming into equilibrium. And it might take some time. Things will kind of correct themselves in time. If there is like a financial situation, if there is someone who is even like suing you potentially, some sort of legal situation, I do feel like it will work out kind of fairly. Like it's going to be a fair sentence, or it's going to come to a fair conclusion. And I do also think with the Sagittarius energy with Temperance, there really is this focus on your dreams and on your hopes and wishes. That is kind of the 11th house, which is what we will be in at the start of December. That's where this eclipse is occurring. And because this eclipse is kind of wrapping up a cycle, there's been a lot of struggle in that area of your life for the past year and a half, and now it's kind of being wrapped up and brought to a close over the next 6 months. And so there may finally be some things that are settling down. I will say with the cards that I pulled for you, the animal cards, kind of clarifying everything, wrapping this all together, I had the earthworm come out first. And again, this is one of those instances where I was like, oh yeah, Aquarius really needs to speak up and speak their voice or speak their truth in a lot of situations. And that was clarified by the black egg, which is the throat chakra. It is your truth. It is the way you express yourself. And that might be really, really hard. It might feel like you have some sort of belief or difference that makes it really hard for you to be received. But at the same time, there's something internalized there that's actually preventing you from finding your people with lamb here. I'm thinking of your flock. This is, again, a very spiritual time for you. It is time to kind of find inner peace and to really cultivate this inner knowing. I think that's going to be really, really significant for you. And I'm just kind of getting flashes of like the shepherd imagery that comes with Christmas. That might also be something important to you as well, where it's like you're not supposed to be seeking out your people. It's almost like you're finding, or your people are finding their way to you with the Sun and the Empress. And you need to speak your truth. I was actually distinctly getting as well, and I'm just remembering this now, I'm getting the sense that if there is something that's going on in a family, and you're finally breaking a silence or speaking up, I feel like there's going to be at least one family member who appreciates you doing that. Or if this isn't about family, maybe this is a work situation, maybe this is in a friendship circle or a social network like that. However it is that you are speaking up this month, I feel like it's also giving voice for another person, and there's going to be someone who's going to be very grateful for you for doing that. So don't be afraid to use your voice, don't be afraid to speak up if something seems wrong, and even make a stand if you need to. There is a lot that's happening with Venus retrograde in your 4th house that's really kind of unsettling you in a very foundational way. But ultimately, you do have this abundance here. You do have something that is growing here with the Sun and with the Empress. And I'm thinking specifically Taurus season and Leo season are going to be really significant times for you, which is interesting because there's a lot of focus on all of these fixed signs. So the fixed signs are Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, as well as Scorpio. You're kind of getting a lot of attention over the next year and a half as the nodes are shifting, which is going to happen on December 22nd and will continue for over a year and a half. So there's a lot of focus there, and those seasons are going to be pretty important for you in particular, both in relationships as well as in your career. There could be some changes in your career much later on in Scorpio season. there's just a lot of emphasis in those areas of your life. I'm sorry, not Scorpio season. Or yes, Scorpio season. Sorry. Yeah, I think you really just need to be able to and willing to speak up. And it's funny, I feel like I've been stumbling on my words this whole reading. Maybe you feel like you're having some hard time expressing yourself too. And not for nothing, Mercury is entering its pre-shadow phase at the end of this month. I believe that starts on the 28th. And Mercury will be retrograding in your sign. So that is something to kind of keep in mind as well. It might be really hard for you to express yourself. And you might start to feel that around the New Year's. But I feel like staying balanced, maintaining your equilibrium, these things are really gonna help you. And I'm also thinking of New Year's Eve. I know the sun is in Capricorn and it's forming a trine with Uranus in Taurus. And so it's a really good time for all of us to set resolutions. There's a lot of backing for whatever intentions we are setting during that day to really change our lives and to change our routine. And I think that's especially true for you because we also have Mars and Sagittarius forming a sextile with your Saturn in Aquarius. So again, in your sign, you have a lot of discipline. There's a lot of discipline that you have access to by the end of this month. And maybe you're finally committing to good habits or things that are helping you kind of maintain your space and maintain your energy. And that's all I have for you, Aquarius. I do hope that this video was helpful and resonant for you. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if it was. Let me know in the comment section down below what in particular resonated with you or what stood out to you. I'd love to hear it. I always think those synchronicities are super interesting. I know that this time of year is really challenging for many of you, and my heart goes out to anyone who is struggling or feeling lonely during this time of year. I'm wishing you a very happy, safe, and healthy December. All of my links, again, are available in the description box down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.